Here we are today, another hoop shoe review for you, Bazooka Hoopz. Thank you for tuning in today. We have a special one here for you. We have the MB.01, BU colorway to be specific.
Type of hooper I am. I work out of the triple threat very often, hard cuts, side to side movements. I rely on my tractions, step backs, fadeaways, hard drives.
This is a great looking colorway to me. This is actually the second colorway I have of the MB.01. This is the first colorway I had when I first got into hooping. You know, classic. The traction was getting off for me a little bit, so I transitioned into outdoor. I have two pairs of this shoe because I needed one indoors. This really started my journey of wanting to collect shoes, which got me to the journey of wanting to play more basketball, get in rec leagues, run my own rec league. So it's been a really fun way to make friends, meet new people. You know, I decided to, get into the YouTube game. I see a lot of reviews. I watch a lot of reviews. I didn't see a whole lot of people with size 13 shoes, so I figured I could step in, maybe give these people, with the bigger shoe size a little bit more, of a look on what it's like on foot, just because our play style is, a little bit different than, some of the people with the smaller feet, just because they do, move fast, have quick bursts. You can see in all my videos the way I move, I'm very slow. So that's why I have to give the props and shout out to these, because it really started the journey where I'm at today. This colorway, I really like how it incorporates every colorway that they had for the MB.01. So if you look all over the shoes here, we've got color all around. Only one colorway I like more than the MB.01 BUs, which is the Rick and Morty colorway. Rick and Morty's go for like $400 to $500, so for me, it just makes sense to go with my second favorite colorway. This is Puma's version of What Does, and I'm a big fan how they incorporate it because Nike hasn't came out with What Does in a while. This is the BU colorway, but it's pretty much the same thing as the What Does, so give a shout out to Puma for that, giving the people what they want. We're gonna start off with my favorite part of the video. What everyone looks for, in my opinion, is the traction. This traction here, we have a full translucent outsole here, a little bit of fraying on the front here, but not too much durability issues with the outsole, using it indoor only. This is my second colorway. The first colorway I had was the gray colorway, and those, gripped great indoors. Had slight issues on dust, but I retired those because the grip was just non-existent. After a while, I would bring them into hoop, and the grip was just gone. I'd have to wipe a lot. When I got these, I haven't had any complaints on the grip at all on either shoe. Both of these shoes have the full translucent outsole, just different colors. And to be honest, these stick like glue right now, but I do have in the back of my mind, eventually they're gonna go ahead and give out on me, because that's what happened on my other pair. The traction wraps all the way around this toe here, the front toe, onto the side here as well, all the way to this interior. It wraps up, and I'm a big fan of this because the way I move out of the triple thread a lot. I like to roll off my foot. I play off my toes quite a bit, and this added rubber, added traction is really nice for me because I seem to use that quite a bit. Dust is always an issue on these for me. If I had to choose anything, the grooves are really tight, really close together, so they collect dust quite a bit. Basically a blade saw rotary pattern on the top of the shoe pattern here, and on the bottom you make your way down, a little bit more straight lines, kind of a lizard type skin to it with a little bit of extra design, you could say. I have to wipe probably around every 1 to 3 plays depending on the dust on these. It's not the best on dust, but they're getting better, especially with this colorway. I have had not too many issues with it. Just for me, having to knock it down a little bit, because that gray pair just gave out, and then eventually it was just really bad where I had to retire them. So for that, I have to give these shoes a 6.75 out of 10. Next, we have the materials and containment on these shoes here. The materials and containment on this shoe, let's start off in the materials. The materials all around pretty thick. On the front toe box here, we have engineered mesh, and it's pretty thick. It's not too thin, it's about double layered. And then you make your way to the toe, and it makes its way all the way kind of to the medial midfoot, On each side, we have kind of a little bit more of a tougher rubber material that's going to protect you from your, your slides and your toe drags. To the back here is where we have our thick cloth, and this thick cloth is going to go all the way around here, all the way, basically covering up the whole back half of the shoe. You can really feel it. You squish down on it. It's really plushy, and it gets your foot a little bit warm when you're playing in it. After a long time, you could feel the material get sweaty, moving around quite a bit versus some other shoes that aren't made with this really plushy cloth. It's very nice the way it breaks into your foot. It really just hugs your whole foot. It's not having any issues at all. It's gonna be basically wrapping it, and then until you make those hard side to side movements, it's gonna have just a little bit of bulge out, but it's not anything too noticeable for me. I'm a really big fan of this material. This material is very nice to me. Big fan of the way it wraps around my foot out of the box, but I have to knock it down just a little bit due to it being cotton material and the way my foot slides around in it. Sometimes when it's really long playing time, it gets really sweaty, little sloppy on the containment part, so you feel your foot moving around a little bit more than you want. So just with my foot sliding around a little bit, when it gets a little bit too hot, a litlittle bit too sweaty, I got to give these an 8.5 out of 10. We're gonna start off here with that cushion. This cushion, all around we have foam going from the whole shoe basically. The whole shoe is this nitro foam. We have caging on the side here with these X's. Pretty hard, casing, so it's not going to be fully exposed, so it's not going to be as squishy as you'd expect it if you just felt the foam. But it has a nice ride to it, especially the more you break it in, it gets a little bit more plush. It's got some elasticity to it, so it's going to give you a little bit more of a bounce back. Heel is really exposed, so it's going to be nice and soft on your landing. And just making your way all the way to that toe, you could feel that cushion. You can feel all the way through your stride of your foot when you're running. These shoes are very low to the ground. I have my outdoor shoes there. It's very minimal setup, but I definitely think it holds up for what it has. We have great plush around the ankle, making your way into the Achilles, and then making your way all the way to the tongue. It's like a 360, all around good feeling on your foot. There's really no complaints. It's super padded. It's going to be very comfortable for you. These aren't too bouncy. There's not anything in there that makes me think, wow, these things are giving me some bounce, some height on my jumps, although I rarely jump. These are great. They have good snap to them, the midfoot. It's a pretty much buttery feeling all around the shoe. For the way these shoes are built, low to the ground, not as much cushion as may one need, like myself. The bounciness isn't fully there for me like some other shoes I have. Just for those little key points here, I'm gonna have to give these a 7.5 out of 10. The MB1's sizing and fit on these. I use Move insoles in all my shoes that have, a basically removable insole. Not sponsored by Move yet, but I use all their insoles all the time, just the way I like it. Add some comfort, add some snap to some of these shoes. Not sponsored, but looking to get sponsored, hit me up on Once Instagram Move. Let's get it up again. These shoes are true to size, width, and length. When you put them on foot right away, it's great. It's basically nice and loose, and you're able to tighten up to your liking. You could tighten up as much as you can, and it's not really gonna affect your foot the way it plays. They just wrap around your foot amazingly. Really no arch issues at all on these. Pretty roomy, and it's a great one-to-one fit, I'd say, once you lace them up. And the weight on these shoes here, they feel a little bit heavy in hand. On foot, these shoes do not feel heavy at all to me. I'm a bigger guy, so most of these shoes that are heavy don't feel really heavy on me at all, unless they're really bad. So let's go ahead and see what these come out to. These come out to 17.43. Size 13, these are going to be a little bit heavier for you, depending on what size you get. 17 isn't a horrible weight for myself. I think the Kobe's were like 14 or something like that, so 3 ounces up on each foot. I can't tell the difference at all. Yeah, so after a little bit when you play in these, they do get a little bit looser. The material stretches out just a tiny bit, making your foot just slide around it just a little bit. Just for that, it's not the perfect fit the way I'd like it to be, when I'm playing in them for a little bit. So I have to give these a 9 out of 10. Playability and clunkiness on these, like I mentioned earlier, really close to the ground, great heel to toe transition. These are not clunky at all. These feel really nice on foot. Heel strikes, that cushion's nice and padded and just going down, all around, just great. I love this shoe. This shoe is great to play in. It's buttery all around, especially when you break it in. This shoe is really butter. It's on foot fluidity is the main word for this shoe. This shoe is got a special place in my heart, but it's not, one of my top performers, one of my absolute go-tos. but it definitely, made its way into my life when I needed it the most to play some basketball and get me back into shoes. Just for, the shoe not being a top performer in my eyes, where I recommend many shoes to people. It's pretty much in the middle of the pack, I'd like to say right now. On my list, it's going to be the lowest because these are my grails of shoes so far. But this is going to be a little bit lower just because of that reason. So I got to give these a 8 out of 10. In conclusion, this traction, it really knocked it down quite a bit, especially since I had that gray pair that just quit on me after no apparent reason. I know one day these might give out on me, but I'm just, rotate them through quite a bit. I never really play in these too much, but they make their way. And when I do play in these, I tend to really like them, how I did since day one, really. So unfortunately, just because the way that traction is and the way that foot slides around when my foot gets a little bit too hot in this shoe, it's going to be the last on the list, which is unfortunate, but when you compare the shoes and I'm comparing it to, it makes sense. So I have to give these a 39.75 out of 50. So that is the end of the segment here. We have the MB1s coming in at last place, which is very disappointing compared to the big guys. It's just gonna happen. So that is gonna do it for us today on the MB1s. I really appreciate everyone coming out and taking a look at today's shoes. Very special shoe in my book. These will always be in the collection, and it's always gonna have a special place in my heart just because it started the collection for me. So I'm always gonna have these, in the rotation. I'm always gonna wear them when I can, when time presents itself. But these are always a go-to for me, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So if you're looking for more hoop shoe reviews, looking for some more content, please feel to subscribe, like, share. Bazooka Hoopz. Till next time.